Tracking rain, snow, and thunderstorms in our forecast as we make a return to more active weather. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, and we actually need some snow. March did not end up as a miracle March. In fact, as of the April 1st snow survey, we were really depleted with our snowpack. We had a couple of good months in there and a couple of good storms that dropped some decent amount of snow, but we managed to squeak out about 2 feet of snow last week. So here's a look at the recent numbers. Only about 6 to 29% of average throughout the Sierra Spine, and that's going to put our statewide average at 18%. Good news coming in the deeper range forecast is we actually have some snow back in our outlook, so we'll get a little pulse of some April snow coming in. Rainy season for the most part is in our rearview mirror. The bulk of precipitation typically comes in December, January, and February. As you can see, those were drier than average months, but we got the water year off to a big start in October and November, and that boosted a lot of the numbers that we'll see on the statewide average, especially for Southern California. March just was almost about to the max lowest that we've ever seen on record, but we got that late month storm that dropped 0.14 of an inch of rain. So here's a look at our precipitation tracker for Sacramento. For the month, not bad considering how dry it's been this year. We've had roughly about 1/10 of an inch of rain. Average to date is usually about 3/10, so that's going to put us roughly about 1/4 of an inch behind. But for the year, we're seeing bigger deficits. I will just put a little caveat on that, is that we had that monitoring station down during a period where we had some decent rain, so that departure from average may be just a little erroneous. Not terribly off the mark, but just a little bit bigger than what we would otherwise see if that monitoring station had been online. The rainy season, as I mentioned, for all intents and purposes is behind us. In fact, the average last date with an inch of rain, March 3rd. The average last date with about 1/2 an inch of rain is April 15th. So we're almost to that date, and it looks like we're going to get close to about 1/2 an inch to an inch of rain coming in with this next storm system, which could very likely put us with an average April, given that we usually see about 1.25 inches of rain. By May and June, you can see how quickly those numbers drop off. Not to say that May can't be a wet month. We have seen it in the past 10 years where we've gotten over 2 inches of rain in the month of May. But again, that's really anomalous to what we normally see. Average monthly rainfall, the biggest months, again, December, January, and February. So everything is starting to wind down here as we edge towards the dry part of our year. And that leads us to, what do our reservoirs look like? Now that we're basically at the tail end of seeing any precipitation come in, how much do we have stored? As of April 5th, we're still at about 90 to 95% full for our major reservoirs in the northern part of the state. Even the central Sierra is still looking pretty good, anywhere from about 90 to 80% full. Even Millerton, as we start to head a little bit farther to the south, 82% full, and everything above average. Big reason why. Northern Sierra 8-station index, where we take 8 monitoring stations throughout the year and we look at that. Here's what I want to point out. For the past couple of years, we've had huge snowpack numbers. And you'll see here, just in kind of that light blue shaded area, that's our normal. But what I'll point out is 2022, 2023, huge years for us in the purple line, kind of the magenta purple line, and then the brown line, and even the darker purple, that's going to be our max. We weren't quite at that, but huge numbers there. Even last year, we started off really well. We tailed off, but this year was terribly dry. But given that our storage is a multi-year conversation rather than just 1 year alone, things are doing okay. We could still use more because we always want that buffer heading year after year. You never know when you're going to hit a multi-year drought. Our precipitation since October 1st, the beginning of our water year last year, 2025 into this year, this is where those deficits stand. And this is why I say it's slightly alarming that the biggest deficits are starting to grow in the northern part of the state. That's where 75% of statewide precipitation falls year over year, but 75% of the usage is going to be south of Sacramento, where we actually have some decent numbers. The nice thing about that is that is going to take the pressure off of the demands of Southern California for that surface water to be delivered, because we have decent amount of rainfall coming in. I mean, these are just sheer good numbers. Santa Barbara is over 6 to almost 7 inches ahead of normal. And there's more on the way, not just for Northern California, but for Southern California too. A weak little weather system moving through Southern California right now. The bigger player is sitting off the coast. Now, this is a cutoff low, and what is really great about those is they hang around a while. We don't necessarily love to see those in the winter because that can mean huge flood risks as well as big time snowpack that can delay and even shut down the roads up top for this year. But this time of year, that's kind of a nice signal and change because we need the rain and we need the snow, and we're going to get some cooler weather coming in as well. Won't really hit us until deep into our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but it's enough that we've got a lot of instability starting to grow, especially by Wednesday in the north end of the valley. This is going to expand southward throughout our Thursday and Friday, so we'll bring in that chance of thunderstorms all the way into the Central Valley. Through Friday, our rainfall amounts about a ½ inch to an inch throughout the valley. Bigger totals on the north end of the valley where we first see that low pressure system impacting parts of Redding and even towards the California-Oregon border near Eureka along the northwest coast. And then this is all going to continue to slide its way southward. What you'll notice, it's a lot of green on the map up top for this Sierra. Cold air starts to work in on Friday, and again, that's what's going to add to the instability, perhaps a more widespread impact with thunderstorms, but also that snow line is going to come crashing down to about 6,500 feet by the time we get into Saturday and Sunday. Low pressure system moves in, stays with us through Sunday. You saw that nice little counterclockwise circulation, that spiral of that low. Since it's cut off, there's not a big push from the storm track to just move it on out of here. It has the potential to hang around through our Saturday and even our Sunday forecast. So when we take it as a whole, we could see upwards of an inch of rain in the Central Valley, as well as 2+ inches of rain in the foothills. And once we transition over to snow, we could get another foot or so. Now, it's early in the game, so we'll continue to watch it. But the Climate Prediction Center is showing a likely warmer but likely wetter weather pattern hanging on through the middle of April. It'll be a nice little bonus here as we're starting to wind down the rainy season. Highs in the 60s and 50s up top for the Sierra for tomorrow, with 60s and 70s down low. So we're hanging on for that last little bit of warm weather before that active weather makes a return. 60s along the coast. We're in the 70s and 80s as we head inland all the way through the valley. It's putting us about 5 to 10 degrees above average. Our 5-day regional forecast, you can see the transition here. Highs will be dropping into the 40s by Saturday. That's when we see that mix of rain and snow for the Sierra. For the foothills, it's going to be thunderstorms. It's going to be rain that we're tracking. And for the coast, we're looking at that chance of rain as well. Weather impact alert going into effect on Friday. That continues on Saturday as well. Looks like very likely that's when we're going to see the most active widespread weather throughout the region. And then we'll call for drier weather as we're wrapping up the weekend and heading into next week.